thinking today about the NFC Championship game from last year. As guys do throughout the day, we think about various football games from years past and the lead up to that game. Everybody said, oh, yeah, if you're a sharp, you're on the 49ers. And if you're public, using public as an insult, you're on the Lions. You don't want to be a dirty public better, right? With the unwashed masses jerking yourself off. No, you want to be a sharp better up in the ivory towers looking down at everybody. And look what happened. The Lions covered the spread. They probably should have won the game, but God just hates them. And the Sharps were left holding the bag while the public had tickets to cash. And the reason I talk about that point is because often I find there's a lot of groupthink that's assigned to these, labels. Who defines something as sharp? Who defines something as public? Just because the large majority of people who are casual bettors, don't bet every day, don't have all the software going, aren't putting down 5 to 6 figures on a game, just because they're on one side and fewer people are on the other side, you can't just be contrarian and automatically assume the public side is going to lose while the contrarian side is automatically going to win. If it was that simple, there would be a lot more winning sports bettors out there. I've also found there's a baseline obsession with just being different in the sports betting space. If your own conclusion puts you on the side of a game that's like the home favorite or the public side, that's okay because you want to come to your own conclusions and build your own system. And at the end of the day, betting your own money, you want to make your own decisions, not just tailing what somebody on Twitter says is sharp or what the wise guys in Vegas are betting. Because think about it, you could take your fucking dick, you could stick it in an electrical outlet. That would be very contrarian, now would it? But it wouldn't be too sharp, now would it? So, you want to come to your own conclusions. Just because you're going with the sharp crowd still means you're going with the crowd. Avoid that groupthink, and ultimately you can come out on the other side. Because remember, the sharps only hit between 55 and 63%, and 63% is fucking exquisite. That's very difficult to do, right? I've had runs where I've been on that, and people are like, "How you doing this?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but you better not get used to it because it's not gonna fucking last." So just a little rant I had to go on there about these groupings, these labelings, the group think shit like that. It's about coming to your own conclusions.
Yeah, I'd agree. Using your own fucking brain once in a while is probably a sound advice. Really, in anything in life, I would probably, you know, uh, I wouldn't err away from public opinion or public majority, uh, just because. But right, it's just in general. It's not to say that one side is more correct more often than the other, but it's probably a good idea to use your judgment and to not base just whole numbers to base your opinion, right? So to even go further into that, right? Like the advanced metrics and how science bros have kind of tried to take over just about every aspect of sports, and it really doesn't work. Do some advanced metrics have a story to tell, and there's some proof behind that? Sure. But when you start getting like really, really deep into the nitty gritty, after all, this is sports, and anything can fucking happen. So it's whenever you see a public, a majority one side public betting, and then you have the contrarian side to just fade it. It's you know all we're talking about is which side is going to win the coin flip at the end of the day. I mean, one of them got to win. There's only two ways. You know what I mean? There's the winning side and there's the losing side. It's not eight options we're really choosing from. So, I mean, again, it's probability at the end of the day. What I like to tell people is again, how you get to feel more comfortable losing. Would you rather lose on your own decision or would you rather lose listening to what somebody else said and following them? You know what I mean? I'd rather lose all day, every day on my own terms. If I like an underdog, I'm going to fucking play it. If I like a favorite, I'm going to play it. I'm not going to really let other betters kind of lead me in one direction or another. Oftentimes, if I feel led in another direction, from other bettors, that's typically where I actually kind of stand my ground. I feel a little bit more confident in my selection. But, you know, everybody's going to be different when it comes to what sways their opinion in the domain of sports betting, particularly.
Anytime I give a pick out and somebody messages me telling me it's gonna lose or they think it's bad, that's actually a very good sign. I have an excellent win rate on those picks, but anytime I give a pick out and people are like, "Yeah, bro, go for it," it's like, "Oh, I don't know." So yeah, it's all about coming to your own conclusions, just doing your own thing. And to talk about the stats and the metrics a little bit there, I'm going to give you an example of metrics bias and stats bias. The Carolina Hurricanes in the NHL are the darling of stats nerds because of the type of game they play. They play a very possession driven game, tons of shots on net. All the metrics they have pop in models, spreadsheets, data, and things like that. However, just because they excel at those particular stats does not automatically translate to them being an excellent team, particularly in the playoffs. Every year the playoffs roll around, they're a Vegas favorite, the Sharps are on them, and they lose to a more, I guess, traditional public type of team. Rangers Hurricanes from last year was an excellent example of that. Hurricanes have all the underlying numbers, but the Rangers got the better goaltending. They got the guys, so to speak, in the top six, and the Rangers end up beating them. The Sharps overlook and overvalue things all the time. And to your point, there are some sports you just can't automatically quantify. Like baseball, I get it, right? Baseball, you can use a lot of stats there and you can make a lot of money using stats. But hockey, intensely volatile sport. MMA, very matchup dependent. All the stats you have from previous fights may not be applicable due to the style
Oh,
matchup.
fight
Yeah,
math
fight math is
absolutely
awful.
does not work at all. I mean, you got Bilal Muhammad out here this week talking about he becomes one of the best welterweights of all. To get the fuck out of here. Yeah, whenever anybody starts spitting MMA math at me, I'm like, you literally, I mean, literally, the only math that's quantified in MMA is literally through film study and or coaching. I mean, even your own personal experience in MMA. A lot of the times, actually, if you want great picks, look for all the fighters that are sponsored by my bookie or whatever it is, the picks that they give out every week before the fight. Oh man, fighters are some of the most atrocious betters when it comes to picking other fighters. They have no clue. They have, if anything, even more bias than anybody else. But yeah, as far as stat math, MMA, forget about it. That's probably the biggest sinkhole for your money for sure.
Oh, yeah, and also we were talking about losing and winning based on your decisions. The worst decision to lose is one where Sal Diamato was involved.
You got me feeling lucky. I'm putting everything on black.